right, let's just jump right into it. Imagine you're this kid, right? Your bedroom is literally a cupboard under the stairs, and you think you're about as ordinary as it gets. Then on your 11th birthday, your whole world just explodes. This is not just some story about waving a wand. Nope. This is the story of a boy who had absolutely no idea he was already a living legend.
So yeah, we kick things off with Harry Potter, a kid whose life is, well, it's the total opposite of magical. It's just awful. It's boring. And the family he's stuck with, the Dursleys, they go out of their way to make him feel like he's nothing.
And you can see this head-on collision of two worlds right here. On one hand, you've got his bleak life on Privet Drive, sleeping in a closet while his cousin Dudley gets, 36 presents. But then there's this other stuff, these little hints of something else. Owls showing up in the middle of the day, people in weird cloaks who seem to know him, even whispering his name. What is going on? And then we get the first real clue that Harry's so-called normal life is a complete lie. A letter arrives by Owl, and it's addressed specifically to him in his cupboard. Of course, his uncle freaks out and snatches it, but then another one comes, and another, until, I'm not kidding, a whole river of letters floods the house, and it pretty much drives his Uncle Vernon completely bonkers. Okay, so finally, on Harry's 11th birthday, after the Dursleys have dragged him to a miserable shack on a rock in the ocean to escape the letters, the truth doesn't just knock, it kicks the door down. This absolute giant of a man named Hagrid shows up and says the 4 words that just change everything. But here's the thing. Getting to Hogwarts isn't just about learning how to turn a teacup into a rat. No way. The second Harry steps back into the wizarding world, he stumbles right into the middle of a huge, high-stakes mystery. And it's a mystery that started years before he even knew magic was real. And the first piece of the puzzle drops at Gringotts, the wizarding bank. First Hagrid shows Harry his vault, which is just piled high with gold, which is a shock in itself. But then they make another stop. This time it's a super high security vault, Vault 713. And all Hagrid takes out is this tiny, grubby little package. He says it's for Dumbledore. Now this is where it gets really interesting. A little later, Harry's reading the wizard newspaper, and what does he see? A story about a break-in at Gringotts on the very same day they were there. And what was the target? You guessed it, Vault 713. The thieves got away with nothing since Hagrid had just emptied it, but it leaves you with this huge question, right? What on earth was in that package that someone was willing to rob Gringotts for it? So the plot thickens once they get to Hogwarts. Right at the start of Term Feast, Dumbledore gives this really weird warning. He's like, oh, by the way, the 3rd floor corridor is totally off limits if you don't want to die a very painful death. So, of course, where do Harry and his new friends, Ron and Hermione, end up? The 3rd floor corridor. And that's when they find out what's in there. A giant, terrifying, 3-headed dog. It doesn't take them long to put 2 and 2 together. That little package from Gringotts, it's here at Hogwarts. And just like that, Harry, Ron, and Hermione transform from first-year students into full-blown detectives. They are absolutely convinced that someone is trying to get past that dog and steal the package. And in their minds, there's only one person who fits the bill. Professor Snape, the greasy-haired, hook-nosed potions master who just seems to hate Harry's guts from the second he sees him. The evidence is all there, right? He's spotted limping right after a troll mysteriously gets into the castle, almost like he's been bitten by, a 3-headed dog. Then, at a Quidditch match, Hermione actually sees him muttering some kind of curse while Harry's broom goes crazy. And the motive? Everyone knows he hated Harry's dad. Case closed, right? And then comes the smoking gun. Harry actually overhears Snape talking to another professor, and he's complaining about the 3-headed dog. He literally says, how are you supposed to keep your eyes on all 3 heads at once? For Harry and his friends, that's it. It's basically a confession. Snape is definitely trying to get past that dog. So after tons of research, mostly by Hermione, let's be real, they finally figure it out. That grubby little package contains the Sorcerer's Stone. And this changes everything. We're not talking about some bag of gold. This is a legendary object that can make you live forever. And who wants to live forever more than anyone else? Lord Voldemort. So the trio hears that Dumbledore has been called away from the school. They panic. They think this is it. Snape is going to make his move tonight. They feel like they have no choice. They have to go after the stone themselves. And that means heading down a trapdoor, past that dog, and into a whole series of deadly magical traps. And this whole sequence is just brilliant because it proves Harry could never have done this alone. It's like each trap was tailor-made for one of them. Hermione uses her brain to get them out of a killer plant. Harry uses his amazing flying skills to catch a tiny winged key. And Ron plays the best game of wizard's chess of his life, even sacrificing himself so Harry can go on. Finally, it's Hermione's sheer logic that solves a potion riddle. Just amazing teamwork. So Harry gets through that last challenge all by himself, and he is ready. He's ready to face down his enemy, the guy who's been making his life miserable all year, the man who he's sure is trying to bring Voldemort back. But when he steps into that final room, it's not Snape. I mean, think about it. All year, every single clue pointed right at Snape. The limp, the jinx, the conversation about the dog, it all fit perfectly. It had to be him. But we were wrong. The whole thing was a setup, a classic red herring. Snape wasn't cursing Harry's broom. He was muttering a counter curse. He was trying to save Harry. He wasn't the bad guy at all. So who was it? The actual villain was the one person nobody, and I mean nobody, suspected. The nervous, stuttering, turban-wearing Professor Quirrell. And then comes the twist that is pure nightmare fuel. Quirrell admits he wasn't working alone, and he starts to unwrap his turban, and on the back of his head is another face, a pale, terrifying, snake-like face. It's Lord Voldemort. He's been living on the back of Quirrell's head like a parasite all year, just waiting to get the stone and a new body. Somehow, Harry survives the confrontation. He wakes up days later in the hospital wing, and this is when he finally gets the full story from Dumbledore. And Dumbledore lays it all out for him. First, the good news. The stone has been destroyed, so no one can use it for evil. And Harry survived because his mother's love left him with this incredibly powerful ancient protection. But then, the bad news, Voldemort wasn't defeated. His spirit form got away. So yeah, Harry won the battle, but the war is just getting started. And Dumbledore leaves him with this incredible piece of wisdom, basically flipping the script on what Voldemort is so terrified of. He says it's not about cheating death, it's about how you live. And that simple idea, that becomes the heart and soul of Harry's entire story. And that's a wrap on year 1. The mystery is solved. Harry faced the man who murdered his parents, and he lived to tell the tale. But Voldemort is still out there, just a shadow for now, but he's waiting. He's rebuilding his strength. The Sorcerer's Stone is gone, but the war is just beginning. So, you ready for year 2?